Hello, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to another episode of Critique Corner with me, Daniel Parker.
And me, DB Fastbinder, also known as Darth Bobcat, where we break down three of the more interesting stories of the week to give our take on what's going on in this crazy land we call pop culture.
Oh yeah, yeah, and thankfully my internet has been holding up. So
Yes, we were quite worried about it.
cool. So I was really worried about it, but we're here. And of course, uh, in addition to talking about all the pop culture stuff, we also do box office, and also talk about our thing of the week, which is
Mhm.
something we've been consuming over the last week. And for this week, we're going to do a little differently. DB is going to go first. So
Yes, I often shove Daniel out there to make it happen first,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I thought I'd balance things out. So I haven't finished the show yet, but I did the 3 episode rule on the Sylvester Stallone TV show Tulsa King.
Mm.
Now, now this is kind of unique to start with because I can't think of any TV show that Stallone's ever been in. He's more of a movie guy.
Yeah. He's more movies. The only like TV show I can really think of would be the Rambo cartoon show in the 80s, but I don't think he was really involved in that at all.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I think that lasted like 5 episodes or something
Yeah.
insanely short like that.
Yeah.
I kind of miss that. Oh man. Okay, I kind of miss that trend in the 80s of turning ridiculously R-rated concepts into kid shows uh, like Rambo, Chuck Norris,
Yeah. RoboCop.
RoboCop,
Yeah.
um, even Beetlejuice to a lesser degree.
Yeah.
Okay, like I'm trying to think of what you could do these days. Can you imagine the John Wick kids cartoon? That would be
uh
amazing.
yeah, that would be amazing.
You could give him a ghost dog.
Oh yeah, and he talks.
Yeah. Row, Ron Rick.
Ugh.
And like he'd give up his guns. Like maybe it's like the shaman took away my ability to use my gun so I could have my dog back,
Ah.
and now I have to use my fists and words,
Yes.
to make it mildly appropriate. Anyway,
Yeah, yes. Yeah,
that
because
digression aside.
yeah, because
So uh, so Tulsa King. Uh, I don't have a lot to spoil since I'm only 3 episodes in, but the basic premise is that Schwarzenegger. That's a. I was just thinking about Arnold for some reason, but Stallone's character is named Dwight. He is a mob boss who 25 years ago uh, killed somebody for the mob, and because he took the vows very seriously, he did not rat anybody out for those whole 25 years.
mm,
He comes back, and the friend he went to the joint for is, and very old on oxygen, and his son is up and coming and doesn't really have the use for him.
uh,
So what they end up doing is they give him a job to go down and set up a branch operation in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
hmm.
So you've got some nice fish out of water stuff because he's doubly a
Yeah,
fish out of water. He's been in the clink for 25 years, and
yeah.
he's an Italian mobster from New York trying to make his way in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Um, Major characters are he decides to make the first taxi driver that he picked up as a full time professional driver.
Mm,
Uh, he's an entertaining character. Uh, there's a woman who he hooks up with in the first episode who I almost don't want to say what she is, but he should not have it's kind of mixing business and pleasure a little bit.
ah,
Uh,
ooh,
but again, I don't want to ruin the wham at the end of the first episode
ah,
because finding it out for yourself is all the more entertaining. But just let's just say it's a major entanglement. It turns out there's another person from the old life who sees him walking around and assumes, well, why the hell would he be in Tulsa? He's here to kill me.
ah.
So you have that entanglement. He also finds a local weed dispensary, like a totally above the board legal one,
Uh,
and shakes him down for protection money. But in his relationship with the very millennial employees of the weed dispensary is amusing. It's a very violent show, and
mhm,
one of the strengths slash weaknesses of Stallone is that his characters always have to be at least some level of decent.
mhm.
Like last week we made fun of Dwayne the Rock Johnson for always having to get the better of everybody in every movie. So you knew the Justice Society was never going to be a real threat to Black Adam.
Right. Yeah.
Stallone is a bit similar. Now, of course, we know from Rocky that he's willing to have himself pounded into hamburger in front of the camera.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So it's not that thing, but it's more that he always has to be a good guy on some level, even when he's clearly not.
Hmm.
Like the guy he killed, he made a point. I didn't even want it. I liked the guy, but I did it for you. Yeah, so it's like, yeah, he had to have that little bit of doubt. He
Yeah.
has a strained relationship with his family, who he left behind for the sake of the vow.
Yeah.
Um, eh, and it's but it works here because a good mobster movie, they're objectively awful people who deserve to go right back to prison, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Um, but so you need a charismatic actor to really sell you on. No, look, they're awful people, but just put that aside and isn't it fun being around Stallone as he's mob bossing his way around central Oklahoma?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the answer is yes, yes, it is. It's streaming now on Paramount Plus. My uncle actually recommended it at the New Year's party, and I said, I signed up for Paramount Plus to watch. I was basically bored last week when I had some time off, and I said, $5 for the ad-based version. I'll finish up that season of Beavis and Butthead. And then I'll just see what else there is to offer.
Yeah.
Also, a wild holy ninja toe has appeared.
Oh, hey. Good to see you, Ninja Toe.
Welcome, welcome.
Yeah.
But yeah, so far as of 3 episodes, Tulsa King has not disappointed, and just based on Stallone's record, once he's into something and it's at least decent, he's going to charisma his way through to the ending, even if it's
Yeah.
I will actually say one other thing is that they actually had a plot point where you know that we can get kind of annoyed at so-called woke moments.
Yeah.
There's a moment
Yeah.
where he has an associate of his who's black go down to a dealership to buy up a car, cash only,
Mhm.
and of course the guy, the guy said, "Well, where's the car?" Well, he called me a crack dealer and told me to leave it, or else he'd call the cops.
Oh, God.
Oh, but I said, at which point I said to myself, that's actually realistic and believable.
Yeah, I can. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can see that. Yeah.
So of course Stallone goes down there and says, "Yo, you were afraid of him, uh, but you're cool with me because I wear a suit and I'm white."
Yeah.
And then proceeds to pound him in the face once.
Nice.
uh,
Yeah, and just real quick, Ninja Toe says he just finished watching From Russia with Love for the first time. His goal is to watch every main James Bond film. Well, good luck with that.
yeah, that's quite an undertaking.
Yeah.
Although, who I ended up watching some of these movies recently. You know who doesn't get a lot of respect, who actually is a damn good James Bond,
Who?
is Roger Moore.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, he was really good. That was actually Roger Moore was my father's favorite James Bond. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a different tone than Sean Connery,
Yeah.
but it's still really good stuff. I think it's what how like maybe if I had encountered both of them on my own, and we have also D Rhino here early.
Oh, hey,
Nice.
D Rhino. Good to see you.
But I feel like if I'd encountered both of them at the same time, I might have gone to Connery. But it's almost like this forbidden fruit aspect where you hear, "Oh yeah, the Roger Moore movies, those are stupid. Don't watch those." Then you watch them and they're actually pretty decent.
Hmm.
Kind of like elevates your take on it
Yeah. Yeah.
more than maybe it would have objectively been. It's like it's always about expectations.
Oh yeah, yeah. They could be a little. A couple of them could be a little bonkers, but they're
Yes,
fun bonkers. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And,
But yeah,
and plus, he did drop not quite Blofeld down a chute, so that was kind of cool.
yeah, that's true. Yeah. But yeah, I've been meaning to watch Tulsa King because I've heard good things about it. So
Yep, I second that.
yeah.
But
All right. But yeah, so on to my thing of the week.
so
Um,
so either that is the Final Fantasy VII remake game or an HD version of Advent Children.
it is the remake of Final Fantasy VII. Yeah. So yeah, I've already played it. I've already done like I think 2 playthroughs. It was like 3 years ago when it came out.
Mhm.
But I'm going back and playing through it again. Um, and I forgot how much fun it was. It's of course, it's a lot different than the remake because it's not the turn based. It's the when I don't know
Action RPG is it
action
kind
art. Yeah,
yeah, like watch people play it, it kind of looks like it's like Kingdom Hearts but without the jumping around and aerial combat.
yeah. I would say that's pretty true. Yeah, although there's some jumping around and stuff like that, but no, it's I mean I know this game kind of got a lot of and by the way for this playthrough right now I'm up to the part where Cloud meets Aerith or when Cloud falls through the church roof
Hmm.
into the flower bed. That's where I am. I will say, like having played through this before, the Aerith part kind of got on my nerves a little, um,
Hmm.
because it's a lot like the part where you're with Tifa, and then you got this whole thing, and then the whole thing with Wall Market, like going to the whatever the bee the honeybee club or whatever it was
Yeah, where
called.
Cloud cross dresses.
Yeah, yeah. I know that was in the original game, but it was just they really ratcheted it up to 11 in this one.
Huh.
It's just like yeah, but the rest of it, like the gameplay is a lot of fun. I know a lot of people didn't really necessarily like the story as much as the original, because they do some like time travel elements with it.
Yeah,
Um,
isn't it kind of meta?
a little, yeah. Yeah, they're these figures that pop up. They're like kind of like specters.
Mhm.
They kind of look like the whatever they were called from Harry Potter, the
Death Eaters.
Death Eaters. Yeah, they kind of look like that. They pop up and every now and then, and you know do their thing to advance the story. And Ninjato asks, most important question: exotic, mature, or sporty? Mature.
Huh?
So there's a part in the game where when you're with Tifa and she wants to go out on have a fun little basically go on a date with Cloud,
Okay.
and she asks Cloud, oh, what kind of dress would suit me? And your choices are either an exotic dress, a sporty dress, or a mature dress. And depending on which one you pick, she wears that dress in the wall market part of the game.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I found that pretty quick.
The I think the one on the left is exotic, and then the one in the middle is sporty, and then that's the mature one.
You know, hmm, I think I almost like the mature one here.
I can't remember if that's exotic or sporty. It's
Well,
one of the
yeah,
two.
you know, slightly revealing yukatas are nice, but that's neither
Yeah,
here nor
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. D Rhino says the whispers represent the old fans. What a crappy way to honor the fans. Oh, okay. Well, I,
Uh, oh, is
I was
that
not aware
kind
of
of?
that.
Mm,
Yeah. Yeah, and Ninja Toe says it's basically Final Fantasy VII rebuild. Oh, like Ava. Okay, okay, that makes sense. But I mean, it's of course I haven't played Intergrade because I don't have a PS5. Um, but I mean, it I enjoyed it for the most part, and interesting to see what the other games are going to be like. I think it's going to be 3 games. So basically,
Okay.
like the first game was, if you played the first game on the original PlayStation, it was split into 3 discs, and
Mhm.
this first game here is basically disc one.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Was Aerith shish kebabbed in the first disc, or was that near the start of the second?
It was at the end of the second disc, I believe.
Was it that late? I thought it
I
was way earlier than that. Let's
uh,
ask the internet. What disc did Aerith die on? Okay, end of disc one. So
Oh, end
did
of
she?
this. Okay.
So did she end up shish kebabbed in this one?
No, she didn't get shish kebabbed. So okay, so I'm way off. It's
Okay.
even sooner than that. So the end of this game is right when they leave Midgar. So yeah, that's so it's right when they leave Midgar, and then they're going off into the world. So, but I mean, if you of course, I don't know if this game's going to get ported onto any of the other.
Probably coming to PC. It sounds like Sony locked this up as an exclusive, which
Okay.
makes me way less sympathetic to, oh, but if Microsoft buys Activision, they might restrict games. Boo hoo.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I mean, I think it's worth playing if for no other reason. If you need one big reason to play this game, Tifa.
I mean, Tifa is objectively the best girl in all of Final Fantasy, period.
Oh yeah,
I will hear no arguments. He,
yes,
and this is as somebody who likes Final Fantasy X more than the others, but
mhm.
I'm sorry. Yuna is a great character, but doesn't quite match. Very different feel.
Yeah, yeah. And Tifa's kind of like the entire package. She's beautiful. She's curvaceous, and but she's also fit and she can fight, and and is still very feminine. So
Yeah, that's a very fine balancing act they do with her.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, yes. D Rhino is Final Fantasy
And,
6.
and he also has some spicy words for, I swear to God,
Oh,
I tell they spend the entire week not calling me. And I tell them every week I am doing a thing
thing
between 5 and 6. And when do people want to call?
between 5 and 6.
Yes, right. Cloud deserve. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I love
Love
Tifa,
Tifa.
but she deserves Cloud. Exactly.
Yes, I do too. Yes, I agree.
Also, she deserves the non-mopey Cloud, not the Advent Children Cloud, who is a terrible character.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, that's my those are my feelings on Final Fantasy VII remake.
Speaking of numbers and remakes,
Yes.
or at least sequels, so not a whole lot new to report.
Yeah.
Let me just make sure this isn't somebody having a heart attack or something.
Oh yeah.
Oh no. Okay.
Something you have to.
N- This
I
isn't this is like a pressing thing to somebody I know had something bad happen to them.
oh okay.
So because that's going to affect things anyway.
Okay.
Uh,
Um.
so anyhow, we can cut this out of the replay. So
Okay.
speaking of numbers and remakes or at least sequels,
Uh,
surprise, surprise, Avatar is at the top of the box office again.
yeah. No surprise. Mm,
Um, Megan put in good numbers. I looked it up, and it's a $12 million movie, and so far it's made 54 million internationally. So they probably spent a good decent chunk advertising it, but they're they're doing fine.
yeah. Yeah. That's a solid opening for a movie being released in January. Especially a niche horror movie like this. Yeah.
Yep. there's a certain wisdom in putting out a good movie in January, because what else is your competition besides holdovers? Like, I think the Lego movie came out in January, and that did good numbers because what else was there to watch?
Yeah, true. D Rhino says I heard about that Zoe 101 movie coming out. I don't know anything about that.
I haven't heard about it. No.
Yeah,
Let's take a look. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much the only thing. Puss in Boots is still
yeah,
making money. Big whoop. So basically, you could almost copy paste our thing from last week.
yeah.
Um,
Zoe to the max. Is that it?
no, that's from 2015.
Oh,
Um, yeah, so sorry, D Rhino. I don't know anything about the Zoe 101 movie.
yeah. I don't know anything about it either. I don't. Haven't really. I That's
Okay,
a
so it was a TV show.
right Disney Channel, I believe.
Yes.
Okay. I didn't watch really any uh, Disney Channel stuff, especially live action Disney. Just kind of.
Yeah, not really my thing either. Um,
Yeah.
More interesting though is, so we did a little bit of research, and last week we had realized that there were some strange things because I had always taken the DEG watch at home chart to account for streaming services like Netflix, HBO Max, and so on.
Hmm.
Um, but what kind of revealed it was noticing that Knives Out was in there, but Knives Out 2 was not.
Hmm.
And that there was some other Avatar 1 was in here. No, not
Yeah.
Avatar 1. Basically, there were enough movies in here that were there without their sequel that it made me think, wait, something's weird here.
Yeah.
And it turns out that what the DEG, which is Digital Entertainment Guide, I think,
Yeah.
no, group, excuse me, Digital Entertainment Group. This is actually a much more interesting number than I thought it was. It's a combination of digital rentals and purchases. So if you buy it through Xbox, iTunes, Amazon, what have you, uh, if you buy a Blu-ray or DVD, or, and this kind of surprised me, if you rent it from a service like Redbox,
Mm.
which I didn't think that they I didn't think that they would reveal those numbers to anybody if I was at Redbox. So that's very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. Trying to. Yeah.
So what that tells you is that Black Adam going from second to 13th doesn't represent more people signing up for HBO Max. It tells you that that's people putting their money where their mouth is and buying it on digital.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the discs are out yet.
I don't think they are either. Let me do a quick
Uh,
look
Also
here.
tells you that Top Gun Maverick being so high up there, or Yellowstone for that matter, doesn't represent a lot of people signing up for HBO Max. It tells
Mhm.
you that it's a lot of people buying it physically or digitally.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
also
Go ahead.
represents blue. It also represents. No, I already said that. Never mind.
Oh yeah. Black Adam is out on Blu-ray and 4K.
Okay, so there might be some people buying it.
Yeah.
But so this what this actually represents is people plunking things down, which tells you that Knives Out is having a nice secondary go in the market because
Mm.
the first, or the Glass Onion sequel coming to Netflix.
Yeah.
It tells you that this Ticket to Paradise movie is continuing to hang in there and earn some extra money for good old George Clooney and Julia Roberts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lyle Lyle Crocodile, which I only have a relationship with because of the kids'
Mhm.
cartoons or the kids' book,
Yeah.
uh, is still in there making money, and so on.
Yeah.
Also, Yellowstone shows up in here multiple times, which that now makes more sense if it's individual things people are buying.
Yeah. D Rhino says, "Let's all hate on Black Velma. Is that racist? Oh well, I'm black. I can say it. Yes.
The best summary, we're not going to cover that because other
Yeah.
people have already, and it's like it's more fun to talk about things that have a chance to be good or are just egregious and worth getting out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the best summary I heard on this afternoon was the Critical Drinkers podcast, where his summary was, it's like if it's like if the bunch of us sat down and heard that there was a 2023 version of a Velma cartoon coming out, and we just made it up knowing nothing about it. Like, well, of course you'd have to be black and gay. Well, of course, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, it's it from everything I've heard, it's cringe, and I did not expect anything different. Yeah,
yes, exactly. Like the hilarious backfire. That's Wizard of the Coast new OGL, which
and
boy, that's
yeah, we're gonna get into that. Yeah,
yes. Uh, but yeah, I'm putting Velma in the look. It's a hangover from peak woken Hollywood. We're not
Mhm.
even going to give it the oxygen. Just let it go, die on HBO Max where nobody will watch it.
Exactly. Yeah,
There's a lot of stupid stuff in the pipe that's going to come out the next couple of years.
yeah,
Uh, that represents old Hollywood thinking. We'll just have to, we just get to point and laugh occasionally,
yes,
but ultimately it can't hurt us.
exactly. Yeah, but yeah, it's an interesting. Yeah, this chart is just really interesting, and it kind of tells me that yeah, that people who because a lot of these things are available on streaming, but people are like, well, no, yeah, they still want to buy either a physical or at least have some kind of ownership on it, which is I would say is a good thing.
Yep. Or they're saying, screw paying $15 for HBO Max. I'll just rent it for $6 or whatever they're charging.
Right. Yeah. It's,
Huh. I've heard. Okay, As Good as Dead. This must have just gone straight to DVD
oh
because
yeah.
it doesn't, because if it's on here, then it's not probably on Netflix or whatever. Huh.
Well, yeah. Well, it's got Michael Jai White and Tom Berenger, so yeah, it probably
Uh,
straight to
Those
video.
are names that I only sort of know vaguely.
Yeah, Michael Jai White he's one of these action guys who's B movie action guys who's does movies like that all the time to
Mm,
pay his taxes or whatever. And Tom
so,
Berenger's kind of a washed up actor from the '80s.
okay. So what I'm hearing is that they'd be perfect to show up in Expendables 4.
Yes.
And also, Holy makes a point. This isn't a very nerdy list. Like all that's really nerdy in here is Black Adam. And
um,
does horror movie count as nerdy?
I would say so. Yeah,
Okay, so we got some of that. And Avatar, I think we established that's science
is
fiction for plumbers.
oh yeah, yeah,
Not for people who sit around like obsessing about science fiction or really thinking it through. It's more just like I like how that looks.
yeah.
But so speaking of things that are upcoming,
Mm.
we're going to play with fire a little bit here. Uh,
Yes.
to We're going to actually we're not going to have the audio because I don't think my setup here is set to stream the audio through StreamYard, but we are going to take a chance and watch the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania trailer together with subtitles on.
Yes.
This has always hurt us in the past. We'll see how it goes this time.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Let's give it a watch.
By the way, are you hearing the audio from it?
No.
Okay.
I think that's a different actress than who played her
It
in the.
is.
Yeah. So he gets sucked into the quantum realm. Kang the Conqueror.
By the way, if you enjoy this, please give us a quick thumbs up.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, and then subscribe if you haven't already, and all that good stuff.
Yep.
Of course, you can't trust Kang the Conqueror. Okay, so he offers Ant-Man a chance to go back in time and
Yep.
be with his daughter when she was a kid. I'm getting a lot of Avatar. I'm getting an Avatar feel from this.
Yeah. Oh, that okay. That's a bunch of ants he's riding on right there.
Okay.
It definitely looks like they're upping the stakes.
Yes. The effects don't look horrible.
I okay. Hmm. I'll save this until we're done.
Okay. Oh, we got MODOK.
Yeah.
So again, I guess we're getting the brutal, evil version of Kang, not the somewhat sympathetic version of Kang.
Um,
See if there's a funny. 'Cause usually these Marvel movies have like a. Oh, there isn't. Okay. Usually a lot of those Marvel movies will have like a funny quip at the end, and it's like I don't, like
what I've heard about this movie, and I hope Midnight's Edge was wrong here, is that they've been basically went in and added a bunch of comedy and reshoots recently.
yeah, I saw that video too. Yeah,
Um,
and very
now,
recently too, like in the last couple of weeks.
yeah. Now, as far as things I'm observing here, they tried to do the lines here on Kang's face.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, just the way that the makeup comes across, it looks like he's constantly sweating bullets down the side of his face.
Yeah.
Um, that's not the best look. But if I step out of this and think of it in terms of me not being a jaded, Disney sucks, rah rah rah, they ruin everything mindset,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
kind of poisons me a lot of the time. Um, it's nice that there's a superhero movie that seems to actually be about something. There's like a real, how to put it. It's like they're trying to be what Shang-Chi pretended it was about.
Hmm.
Like Shang-Chi pretended that it was the story of a young man who is trying to live up to his father's legacy and make justice happen, and like dealing with that trauma. What it's really
Hmm.
about is it's a silly Billy fantasy adventure that hijacked that movie with a bunch of stupid jokes.
Yeah. Yeah. And and very shoddy visual effects.
Yes. Uh, in this case, it looks like they may have stepped up the visual effects some.
Hmm.
My one worry is that, pardon the pun, Kang is too big of a villain for just Ant-Man.
Yeah, he's an Avengers level or Fantastic Four. Or he started out as Fantastic Four.
Yeah, he like
Yeah.
well, I actually I think that it's a funny thing where he wasn't originally a Fantastic Four villain. Just the Fantastic Four had gone back and fought some pharaoh who had future technology, and then they
Oh.
retconned it later that no, Rama Tut was actually Kang all
Okay.
along.
Oh,
If I recall if I recall correctly, I may be
uh,
incorrect.
all right. But no, I agree. He's very much he's more of an Avengers level villain than than just Ant-Man. Yeah.
On the one hand, it is cool to give Ant-Man that big of a threat.
Hmm.
On the flip side, um, Kang's appearance in Loki didn't really do him any favors in terms of being a threat.
Hmm.
And if he gets beaten by Ant Man, it's like, okay, I thought you were supposed to be the Thanos for this phase.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like, they built up Thanos very well. First appearance, he just is sitting there on the throne looking menacing as he gets a report. And it looks like
Yeah.
he's happy about the idea of fighting the Avengers. Second appearance, he impacts the plot of Guardians of the Galaxy, but doesn't really show up.
Right.
This would be like if he showed up in Guardians of the Galaxy, his first real appearance, and Peter Quill beat him into the ground.
Yeah, and that would have been awful.
Yes. Now, to be fair, the trailer did seem to show more of Mr. Lang getting his face kicked in than
Yeah,
than him ever getting the leg up
yeah,
on our boy Kang here.
oh
But
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think as long as it's an improvement over Ant-Man and the Wasp, the previous
yeah,
one, like,
that's
because
my big worry.
yeah, because that movie was not good at all.
No, it was just dull. It was
Yeah,
dishwater.
yeah.
I wanted to leave the theater. If I'd
Well,
been by myself, I might very well have.
yeah. Well, yeah. I didn't even see it in the theater. I bought it on Blu-ray, and
Hmm.
like, oh, okay. But yeah. The only reason to watch that movie is for the post-credit scene, because it
But
explains it explains where he showed why where he was during Infinity War and why he shows up in Endgame.
yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, and of course the previous trailer kind of was more about his mom and Evangeline Lilly's character than him,
Yeah.
and it almost seems like they've taken the feedback that, hey, if you have a character in the movie, in the title of the movie, maybe they should be cool.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we're at the stage where until the movie actually comes out, we don't know which trailer is more accurate.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know, of course, with Paul Rudd playing him, I mean, you're gonna have more. It's gonna be more comedic because he's more of a
Mhm.
comedic actor.
Which makes
And
it all the funnier that this trailer, it's like just a very straightforward performance.
yeah, yeah, it should be. Yeah, it should be interesting. I mean, I don't know if I'll go see it in the theater or not. But I mean, yeah.
Right.
I mean, I'm somewhat intrigued.
Yep.
Yeah.
Uh, So it look. I mean, it's probably the most interesting Marvel trailer I've seen for a very long time.
Yeah, and yeah, yeah, hopefully they got the memo about Phase 4 being awful, and
Yes.
but but yeah,
I think that's enough on that topic, and we'll see if YouTube throttles us again.
yeah,
So, since we have a full house here, we'll leave it up to the audience. What do you want to hear about first? The possibility of the Snyderflix making its way to Netflix, the Snyderverse making its way to Netflix, or the Wizards of the Coast changes?
yes.
First one to chime in gets to make the choice.
Give it a couple of seconds because there is a bit of a delay.
Yes.
Da-da-da-da. Okay, Wizards.
All right. So, this is a topic that is a bit near and dear to my heart. I haven't played an RPG in several years since COVID hit, but I have spent many an hour playing games that were built on the Open Gaming License.
Mm.
And Daniel hadn't really. You're not really an RPG guy. I think it's fair to say.
No, no, I've never partake. No.
It's one of those things where it's fun, but it's almost like cocaine, where it's like, well, yeah, I enjoy it and I can handle it, but
Yeah,
well, I can't. But
yeah,
hypothetical baller me.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, but I don't know if I recommend it for other people.
Ah,
Uh,
yeah.
but so basically, about 20 years ago, Dungeons and Dragons did something smart. There was so all through I think the 80s and 90s, there were a bunch of RPGs built around this called GNU. It's like general something. Like it was
Yeah.
supposed to be, or GURPS, I think. I forget that it starts with a G for general, and it was basically this really weird, clunky framework that people could adapt to make their own role playing games.
Okay.
Um, from what I've heard, all those RPGs are kind of difficult to play and get into.
Yeah.
Uh, I think it's things like Call of Cthulhu, as memory serves.
I've heard of that one. Yeah.
Hmm. This could be me talking outside of my area of expertise. So about 20 years ago, the people over at Wizards of the Coast said, "Let's get in on that." And so they created the open gaming license. And it was kind of a win-win because people wanted, Dungeons and Dragons, that's synonymous with tabletop gaming.
Hmm.
Always has been, barring this killing them, always will be.
Yeah.
So they came up with this open game license, and it was a good setup. Basically, they came out with what the core concept and rules of Dungeons and Dragons was,
Hmm.
and they made it so that you could make your own games based on it. One I used to play in college was called Big Eyes, Small Mouth, which was an anime-themed universal role-playing system that was designed so you could make your own. Like in one campaign, I played Dirk Hathaway, who was a basically a British ninja who was out to make money and had a pet dragon. He had a pet lizard he had a pet cobra named Fang, who eventually turned out to be a small dragon, to explain
Ah,
his level ups.
okay.
Meanwhile, my friend was a gun wielder, and then the GM's character was she was a mechanic vampire who was our mode of transportation. It's like you could have a lot of fun with Bessem.
Okay.
So but it was basically a way for people to build their own games, and it had the benefit of people could make things that you could plug into a typical D&D game, which meant that if you wanted to play that, you had to buy the core D&D rule books. So by making it so that people could participate for free, it helped increase the sales of Wizard of the Coast products.
Okay.
The that, so and this went fine for many years, and Dungeons and Dragons has had a huge boost in popularity lately. People were stuck inside during COVID, so
Yeah.
playing a Zoom or Discord Dungeons and Dragons game weekly was a way to stay social.
Yeah. And Stranger Things popularity kind of brought it back too.
Yep, that and Critical Role, the podcast, and a
Hmm.
variety of other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they've actually had like the most popular years in ever, really.
Yeah.
Um, and then the Fire Nation attacked. But by the Fire Nation, I mean corporate greed. Uh, so the problem that we've now run into is that, well, there was a statement made by, if it wasn't the CEO of Wizards of the Coast, it was the major executive saying that, oh, well, we need to be monetizing this like video games. Because God forbid they just make revenue when they come out with something good and let the open game license help them expand.
Yeah.
Because honestly, like one company like that couldn't make enough content to supply a whole fan base, and it
Yeah.
does kind of artificially depress other gaming systems that aren't compatible with them.
Yeah.
It's like one of those things where, oh, you guys are so nice. Oh, you're being sneaky.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how with Linux out there, there's a decent chance it'll be a very long time before we come out where we have another operating system that's really different.
Mm.
Because Android is loosely based on Linux. Chromium OS is Linux. There's all these Linux things. In theory, there would be operating systems that would be better than Linux, but who's going to bother developing that from the ground up when Linux is there to put your own cover on?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Uh, so so now what's going to happen is that, and they've altered the terms of the bargain, and pray they don't alter them further. It's gone from being a completely free thing to now, if you make more than $50,000 in revenue off of your Wizards of the Coast project or your open game license project, you have to report your earnings to Wizards of the Coast. And if you make more than 750,000, any dollar you make over that 750,000 off of their open game license, you now owe them 25 cents for every dollar. Not profit, raw revenue.
Oh my gosh.
Now, as this article from TechDirt points out, there are only tens of people in the world that this actually affects, and it won't go into effect until 2024. So there's still a chance that if people get angry enough that they might back off.
Yeah. But yeah, that just I mean, well, everybody said it, and of course, as somebody as an outsider looking into it, you're you're shooting not only are you shooting yourself in the foot, you are, yeah, you're pissing off a lot of people, a lot of very loyal people who've been loyal to you, and and once you do that, like that's almost impossible to get back.
Yeah, very hard to come back from that.
Yeah.
The, the other thing is that this is stupid. They should have come up with an alternate license for like don't use the stick, use the carrot.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
say make another open gaming license where you help them with distribution, for example.
Yeah.
Like where you're not, it's like oh well, if you go with OGL, you're on your own, but if you go with new OGL, then and you hit certain revenue thresholds, then we'll boost you. However, like
Yeah.
we'll help you get into stores and things like that.
Yeah.
Like something that would have actually been nice.
Yeah. And Ninjato brings up something interesting. He said they could have expanded their monetization so many ways, like buying Hero Forge, Roll20, or other third-party companies that produce stuff that Wizards haven't. Yeah.
But that would be work and cost them money.
Yeah.
They'd rather just rescind the open license. By the way, it is so hard to go from going from free to paid.
Yeah. Yeah. Just ask Disney.
Yeah, and D Rhino makes a good point. That in reference to it not starting until 2024, that's enough people for time to get their own stuff ready.
It's true.
I've just on Twitter following the hashtags around it, I've seen a decent number of people say, "Yeah, we're going to start working on our own actually open source thing that you can't claw back like that."
Yeah. Yeah. They're yeah, Wizards of the Coast. I mean, of course they have a very very dodgy history. Um, you know,
Yep. The-
they kind of ruined Magic the Gathering, and you know, and Ninja says the problem is that people are just making their own, yeah, OGLs. Cobalt is calling their project Black Flag. Yeah, Paizo. Yeah,
Right. So now instead of having one standard that makes it easy for people to make things, adjust them for other things, it is the hypothetical downside to what I just said. Oh, well, what if Linux wasn't there, people could make their own operating systems. Now we're back into the 80s where you have Commodore computers and Apple computers and PC and IBM PC
yeah,
compatible
yeah,
computers, and Sega tried to have computers briefly in the 80s, and Nintendo had computers in Japan in the 80s, and
yeah,
nothing worked with anybody.
yeah.
So congratulations, you've brought back the bad old days for everybody.
Yes, way to
Well done.
go. Yeah, yeah. It's they they've made a mess, and they're probably not going to be able to clean it up.
No, they would have to do a lot of backpedaling very quickly,
Hmm.
which, mind you, it has happened before. About 4 years ago, Microsoft was threatening to double the cost of uh, Xbox Gold,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I kind of remember that. Yeah.
and then they got such an immediate backlash. They said, just kidding. Sorry, guys. Sorry."
Yeah.
Uh, Well, although that's different because, um, in my opinion, Microsoft has lately been kind of the good guy Greg of console war, because it's like, hey guys, we bought Minecraft, but you can play it anywhere you like. We're cool with that. And hey, oh, we just came out with a new Halo game. Just sign up for Game Pass and have that. You don't have to
Yeah.
buy it from us straight, or Gears of War for that matter. So
Yeah.
that was like their one real misstep in my mind lately. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
Wizards of the Coast, I feel like it's Hasbro going, look, nobody is buying our stupid toys, and we haven't had a movie come out in ages. More
Yeah.
decks and get more money out of those nerds. What are they going
Yeah.
to do? Go elsewhere?
Yeah. Ninja Toe says, it doesn't seem like that. They're hoping for people to forget and looking at D&D Beyond sales to see the damage.
Yeah.
Mm.
Now, is that the movie or the TV show? Because this is very bad timing for a movie and a TV show when you're trying to appeal to your most fervent clientele to act as your evangelists.
Yeah. The movie's coming out. We talked about that last week. You know, the Dungeons and Dragons movie. I think that's coming out like in March or April.
I think it's March,
Yeah,
somewhere
let's see.
thereabouts.
Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. Yeah, March 31st.
Okay, so if that's Honor Among Thieves, then Beyond is the TV show coming to Paramount. Which,
Okay.
boy, between Halo and a few others, Paramount has really bad luck with these licensed properties and
Yeah.
goodwill going into them.
They really screwed the pooch with Halo. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
golly. I mean,
And like I've had people who watched Halo and said if you don't look at it from like a culture war or go into it assuming it's going to be bad mindset, it's watchable enough. But watchable enough is not great.
yeah. Well, and they broke the cardinal rule of Halo, and that is you see the Master Chief's face.
And his ass, let's not forget.
Well, yeah, and I don't want to see either one of them.
Yeah. But so yeah, company lights itself on fire, or company that was already on fire proceeds to light itself on fire again. News at
Yes.
11.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
But so speaking of things that have been lit on fire, I think that brings us to our last story.
yeah.
The possibility, and this is like a vague possibility. It's Snyder fan copium, basically,
Mhm.
where they've come up with the idea. Well, if HBO, if not HBO, if Warner Brothers Discovery doesn't want to make anything for the Snyderverse anymore, we'll sell the rights to Netflix.
And I would say that is wishful thinking.
Extremely wishful thinking.
Yeah, because I mean, we've talked about the Snyderverse, kind of ad nauseum, and I
Mm-hmm.
know you've compared it to the Windows Phone,
Mm-hmm.
and it's. I mean, I get why people want to keep it going. I know there are people out there who like that and like those movies. For
Mm-hmm.
me, they were very, and I've said it before, they were very hit and miss. Um, I think I don't think from a monetary from a blah, 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 from a financial standpoint, it doesn't make much sense for them to produce new content like that, even if it is for Netflix, and maybe Netflix picks up some of the the money. But I mean, I don't see it happening.
So let's look at some of the ways that this is a problem. First off, Snyder himself has moved on. Now, mind
Hmm.
you, he has moved on to Netflix, so that kind of explains the the fans' thinking here.
Hmm.
Um, it sounds like he's kind of done with it himself, from things I've heard.
Yeah.
Like he kind of now there's debate. There's been like some allegations that he astroturfed the entire release the Snyder Cut movement.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that too. I don't know if that's true or not.
I suspect that he helped pour some gasoline around it, a fire that already existed,
Hmm.
to make, and that ultimately made it seem bigger than it was. But I think there is an organic core that does really love those movies.
Yeah. Yeah, and
I've met some of them.
yeah. Um, and yeah, from what it sounds like too, I mean, of course, um, Henry Cavill has moved on.
Hmm.
He's going to do Warhammer 40K for Amazon, maybe, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Will he be cursed 3 out of 3 times to be in franchises he loves?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was really hoping he would. There was a rumor floating around that he was going to do Mass Effect.
So have they announced a Mass Effect movie?
They haven't, but there was a rumor that they were going to do a series on Netflix,
Mm.
and Henry Cavill's name was brought up in there, and I think he would make a good Commander Shepard.
Yeah, although you know that 2/3 of the fan base would read anything but femshep.
True. Or you could, or you know you, or you could what you could do is what they did in Mass Effect Andromeda, which was have both of them, the female and the
Oh
male,
God.
and their brother and sister, and then you could play as either one of them. But of course, that was Mass Effect Andromeda. I'm not.
Yeah, no. Look, the only thing we need for Mass Effect Andromeda is uh, reasons why to applaud how facial technology has progressed since the Shrek movies.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
so let's look at it from Netflix's point of view.
Uh-huh.
So you're Netflix. You're always trying to come up with projects that will bring in a lot of people for as little money as possible.
Mhm.
It's like things like Dave Chappelle or other stand-up comedians. That is amazing bang for their buck because you just gotta rent a theater,
Mhm.
pay Dave Chappelle to go up there and tell jokes for an hour and a half, and hire
Mhm.
some cameramen to shoot from different angles.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to spend the whole thing because you're selling tickets to the audience, which defrays the costs of the renting of the theater.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Um, I brought up the Justice League movie here, it's like the Joss Whedon cut, to remind you that it had a production budget of roughly $300 million.
Yeah. And a lot of that was because of the reshoots.
Yeah, so let's be generous and say that it was a $200 million movie until the reshoots.
Mhm.
Um, so if it was a $200 million movie,
Mhm.
well, let's see. It's actually been a little bit since I checked. Let's do a little bit of live research here because I don't currently have a Netflix membership. Let's say I wanted to sign up for Netflix.
I
How
think
much would that cost me?
depends on the level you want. I think the one I have is like
How much does Netflix cost?
okay,
Plans range from $6.99 to $19.99 a month. Okay, that's $6.99. That's got to be the ad tier that apparently nobody is going for.
right, and the T and I think the 1999 one is 4K.
Right, 4K, probably multiple screens.
Yeah.
So let's say that let's go ahead and make it $10 because $10 accounts for $10 accounts for what do you call it? Costs they have from credit card companies, and it's nice average. We'll just say
Right.
$10.
Yeah.
Let's say they get $10 per person per month. So that means they get roughly $120 per year. So if I take a $200 million movie, how many new people at $120 a year does that have to bring in? That has to attract about
Uh,
1.67 million people.
wow.
To the Netflix service that would not otherwise have stayed on the surface, or it has to retain them when they would have otherwise left.
Yeah.
This is why, incidentally, streaming uh, is a fool's bargain in terms of sustainability.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now they wouldn't be able to release this in theaters like they did with Black Onion, Glass Onion to try and recoup some of their losses.
Hmm.
No, this would be they have to make a pure streaming play here. And on top of that, they would have to pay a hefty licensing fee to Zaslav's Warner Brothers.
Hmm.
So Netflix doesn't get much out of it. Now you might say, okay, DB, what if they did animated movies? Those would be cheaper for that level of budget,
Yeah.
which is what some people proposed for the Snyder Cut. And I wouldn't be opposed to this showing up on HBO Max. Would be some animated movies to continue or finish off the Snyderverse in its full glory.
Yeah.
Because they have a pretty good animation studio that cranks out those straight to DVD DC movies, so they have the infrastructure. Just hire, yeah,
Yeah.
just get Ben Affleck behind a microphone to play Batman for a few hours at a time.
Yeah, and you know, do it for a couple of weeks, and yeah, yeah,
Animate it, throw it out. That makes the Snyder Cut people happy.
yeah.
Uh, well,
Ninja says
Holy
it's
News says
expensive.
animation is expensive, but it's less expensive than one of these ridiculous CGI movies
Yeah.
or heavy CGI movies, like one of those straight to DVD. Actually, let's see if they have the budget for any of those listed.
That's a
Lots
good
of
question.
spontaneous research happening here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've always been kind of curious about that too. How much each one of those movies costs.
that's here. So
I think they have an animation studio in Korea that does those.
yes, pseudo anime. It looks like.
Yeah.
So Wikipedia. Let's see. What's the name of one of those movies?
Try Batman Under the Red Hood.
Okay. Right. Let's see what we got here. So do they have a budget listed? Let's see here. They do not. Music. Okay. Oh, it was also a commercial success, grossing over 12 million in home video sales. So now, of course, you have to be careful because people go like, "Oh, well, it was the number one in the box office, even though it lost $100 million, it's a success, right?"
Yeah.
We've seen that a few times this year or last year.
Yeah.
But if we take that at face value, if they think it's a success with 12 million just off of home video sales, that tells you that the budget is less than 12 million.
Yeah.
And we also have more evidence that you can make a pretty decent animated movie for pretty cheap. Minions was like 70 or 80 million.
Yeah.
So basically for the cost of one Justice League Justice cut. And if you want to go, well, the Snyder cut is the real one. Okay, another 70 million to make the Snyder cut. Either way, it's about 100 million or 300 million dollars all told.
Yeah.
You could have bought 3 or 4 Minions movies. So that would actually be a pretty decent way to continue it. But okay, so from Netflix's perspective, it has to bring in 1.6 million people.
Yeah.
The response to release the Snyder Cut on HBO Max and in physical media and digital and everything was not 70 million worth.
No, it was pretty lukewarm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've heard statistics that 70% of the people who started who started the Snyder Cut, that's a tongue twister right now apparently,
Yeah.
who started the Snyder Cut did not finish.
Mm.
And while it was when the weekend it came out, it was the top of digital for sales. I believe it dropped off fairly fast, and actually, we have the numbers here. The Justice League. I love the internet. We can actually like settle arguments
Yes.
with facts and data. Yeah, estimated
16 million. Wow.
16 million. When this is something that, oh god, that's less than a fifth of what or roughly a fifth of what um, the Joss Whedon version of Justice League brought in.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, that's 4 years later, but still.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that when Netflix would look at this and would say, "No, the market just isn't there. Maybe some animated movies, because we like the idea of being able to throw a Batman symbol up on a Netflix ad to try to get people to come to Netflix." But
Yeah.
that probably wouldn't do it. Now, let's look at it from Big Daddy Zaslav's perspective over at Warner Brothers. Wait, so while he could get a nice payday from Netflix, they're already kind of fighting because he doesn't like that it takes them 2 years to pay him when they make them a show.
Yeah.
Like what's that one Vertigo comic that they just turned to Sandman.
Yeah, same man. Yeah.
Sandman, it was actually a Warner Brothers production, but Netflix bought it off them. But it takes Netflix 2 years to pay them for these things.
Yeah.
And is he going to want to muddy the waters market-wise, just as he's about to try to launch a new Justice League movie?
I would say no. He doesn't want to do that.
No, it would be I've heard multiple things where you had some really nice Xbox 360 or PS3 games that were ready to come out that got shelved because Sony and Microsoft said, "Why are we putting out a first party?" I think it was like a Halo Xbox, or it was like a Halo Lego thing I heard about, or something similar to that, a more
Mm.
kids focused Halo that would have launched on 360 after the one had already come out that got cut.
Uh,
Because why are we spending money promoting the old platform?
yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's the situation, and yeah, and I know, like I said, I mean, I'm somewhat sympathetic to the Snyderverse fans. I mean, I know how much they love those movies, and I know that you still got Shazam 2 coming out.
Hmm.
You got Flash. Um,
Blue Beetle.
Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle's probably and Aquaman 2.
Hmm.
Um, and of course, out of all of those, Blue Beetle's the only one that even kind of remotely interests me, just because it's different. And
Right. And then we're going to get the new stuff. So
yeah.
the old stuff is being thrown out to die.
Hmm.
It occurs to me, are we getting more DC movies next year than Marvel movies?
Let's see Shazam
So we've got four there between
before that.
Flash, Aquaman, Shazam, and
Aquaman, Blue Beetle.
yep. Now,
And,
it occurs to me, Marvel wins if we count all of the Spider-Man villain movies that Sony is crapping out towards the back half of the year, but those don't
and
count.
yeah, those don't count.
We'll
Yeah,
also not count Spider-Verse.
yeah.
So we know we
So
have Guardians 3, the
Guardians 3,
Marvels.
yeah, Ant-Man,
Hmm.
3, yeah.
Isn't there another one in the fall?
Um,
Gee,
trying to remember.
it's like we had an hour-long podcast last week talking about.
Yeah, we did uh, well, there's Secret Wars, but that's Disney Plus.
Right. Let's go here.
Um,
All Marvel releases for 2023. Marvels. No, it looks like the Marvels is the last mainline Marvel. Okay, so more authentically DC movies are
DC.
coming to theaters than Disney Marvel movies.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's interesting.
that is interesting. Yeah.
So that just kind of tells you they're in fire sale mode. It's like
Yes.
uh, get it out, make whatever money we can, stop the bleeding. Let's
Mhm.
move on.
Yeah. And and as far as the new stuff going, I mean, we didn't really talk. We kind of skipped over it, or we didn't mention it last week. But the rumors are floating around that Ezra Miller is going to stay, or that their WB wants Ezra Miller to stay as the Flash.
Which boy, that if you want me to close my wallet, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
Um, Now, I'm holding out hope that that is just them trying to drum up some positive buzz around him in preparation of the movie.
Yeah. And it sounds like his legal troubles are almost over because he took a because some of the charges were dropped, and then he's
Okay.
taking a deal, basically a slap on the wrist.
Okay. Well, so much for my prediction game is weak. I was kind of thinking that there was a chance that Ezra did see the inside of a jail cell, but
Yeah, same here, but yeah.
oh, at least Marie Presley died.
Really?
Well,
I
yeah,
heard.
she was only 54.
Oh wow. I saw somewhere that she was in the hospital, but wow, that's man.
Uh, well, on that happy note, I don't
Yeah.
think that I think this is honestly, to use a really pejorative phrase, this is pure copium on behalf of Snyder Cut fanatics.
Yeah.
Um, I've been there before with being really obsessed with TV shows and properties I love. I
Mhm.
think it is time to move on with your lives, seek life elsewhere.
Yeah.
Uh, D. Rhino said something earlier that I thought was a really good line. Um, that's enough time for people to get their own stuff ready. And
Hmm.
also, let there be good competition amongst the indies. Each will offer a new variety of things.
Yeah.
You don't have to spend your entire life just watching Batman things or just Superman things. That's like part of a balanced pop culture diet.
Hmm.
Go find new things by new creators who
Yeah.
aren't part of billion-dollar corporations that will ultimately disappoint you when they're trying to make up for shortfalls in other part of the business. Cough, Hasbro, cough, cough.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and I used to be that way too. Like, especially when I was younger, I just, yeah, I would be, I would get really fanatical about a franchise. And then, but then as I got older, I kind of went, well, life is short and I don't want to get myself wrapped up in this. And so I just kind of, like, yeah, like D Rhino said, that says here, move on and prosper. That's what life is about.
Yep. Like right now, I'm really high on Persona 5 because I'm playing through the game and enjoying it, and I can
Mhm.
talk to people who have played it before, like Daniel, and make little jokes about things.
Yeah.
Like for those who have played the game, I decided to make to start to do the relationship path with Makoto this go around, in part because it's hilarious to imagine her sister, who is the investigator who captures you at the start of the game, as they're interviewing you, and you're just
Yeah.
telling her about every time you two made out or went
Yeah.
on a date, all the times that Makoto talked about how the sister had ruined her life.
Hmm.
Uh, uh, it talked about how good she looked in that bikini. Like,
Yeah.
why are you telling me all these details? Because it
Yes.
amuses me.
Yes. And Ninja Toe brings up another good point too. You can always enjoy the old stuff and the new stuff that is good. Don't obsess over pop culture. Yeah, I've been doing that a lot too. I've been going back and looking at a lot of movies in the 80s and 90s that I
Mhm.
kind of passed over at the time, thinking, "Oh, that sounds stupid," or I heard that they weren't very good, and it's kind of like, "Well, I'll give this a shot," and so far, I've found some hidden gems, and then some are like, okay, yeah, this was really
Th-
bad.
They were right to tell me to go away.
Yeah. But
Well,
yeah.
and D. Rhino loves Persona 2. Well,
Mm.
I'll try to do my part to financially support the new Persona remakes that they're bringing to Xbox, so that they're encouraged to give that remake love to the older games.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I got to do that too. Go and look at the older Persona games.
3 and 4 are coming out very shortly
Mm.
to Game Pass.
Well, I'll definitely give that a look. All right. Well, I think I think we've talked these topics to death.
Yes.
Uh,
I didn't think that we'd be starting off 2023 or close to starting off 2023 with another Snyderverse story, but it's the story that just won't go away.
yeah. Yeah.
Please, please just go away. They're
Just
just
let it.
not that into you.
Yes. Yeah. Just let it die. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. We really
Yes.
appreciate it. Once again, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the bell if you're watching on replay.
Yep.
Comment down below. And the Snyderverse is our nemesis. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of
Yeah.
become.
It really is, isn't it?
Yes, it really is. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all again, and we will see you next week. Good night,
Yep.
everybody.
Thanks for joining us.